did his boss tell him not to publicly endorse something politically, because that is not freedom of speech, right? And at the same time, would it go the same way if, I don't know, Jake Hager was part of White Dudes for Harris and he called Vince McMahon a fascist for saying to stop promoting that politically? Would this cancellation have equal merit?
Let's talk about Jake Hager, ladies and gentlemen. He was in the news and firing shots at Tony Khan. He said, Tony Khan is someone who threatened my job if I didn't stop promoting my Trump. He is a communist.
Whoa.
And then, yes. And that got him immediately canceled. I've communicated with Jake a bunch of times, and he really didn't have anything public to share about that for now. And so he got canceled from his Blitzkrieg Pro Wrestling. They said Jake Hager. Go ahead.
He got a booking canceled.
Yeah.
He didn't get canceled.
Oh, he got a booking canceled because he got canceled.
Well, how do you define canceled? Because people were mad at what he said? Because
nowadays, yes, that's how people define getting canceled.
See, I think you can only be canceled if you allow yourself to be canceled. Now,
cancel culture is just like, hey, we don't want to be a part of you anymore. We don't want anything to do with you. Or cancel you.
It's very cancerous. But go on. I'm sorry. So
yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. We definitely see eye to eye there.
You think you know all the wrestling stories? There's more you haven't heard yet. Join us on Backstage Pass.
Blitzkrieg Pro said this: Jake Hager will no longer be appearing on December 14th in Enfield, Connecticut. On top of sponsors no longer being willing to work with him, we also just have to do what we think is right for our roster and fans. Because we're going to get to work on a replacement ASAP. However, and they start going on more about it, which is not really relevant. So, EC3, your thoughts on Jake Hager being canceled by the sponsors, the fans, the wrestlers, and the Blitzkrieg Pro themselves?
Well, when you define it like that, it seems that, though, everybody canceled him. Well, in fact, this booking canceled him, and some fans were outraged and canceled him. So in theory, the cancellation was with the booking. Here's one thing. I'm a firm advocate for freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But one thing is, as a public figure, if you realm into the world of politics, if you enter the arena, you have to be willing to and agree to accept whatever may come from that. So Jake stated his case. I mean, the accusation, I'm really intrigued about the accusation that Tony Khan is, quote, a communist, and my Trump, I didn't know if Trump only belonged to Jake Hager. But the thing that intrigues me the most is the reality behind, did his boss tell him not to publicly endorse something politically? Because that is not freedom of speech, right? And at the same time, would it go the same way if, I don't know, Jake Hager was part of White Dudes for Harris and he called Vince McMahon a fascist for saying to stop promoting that politically? Would this cancellation have equal merit, I guess?
The EC3 dropped the politics, man.
Yeah,
right.
but
Very nice.
I mean, but at the end of the day, too, Jake says what he says. You accept the consequences. The promotion is in same thing with freedom of speech, freedom of expression. They're absolutely allowed to cancel him. I'm sure Jake got a deposit, so he's probably not that mad at it. But they don't want to do business with him. That's something he has to accept, and I'm sure he has.
There you go. If Jake is watching, I think you should start a podcast called the Purple Hat Podcast. Because when he was with Jericho's group, the Inner Circle, he ended up getting to the point of putting a purple hat over. And he would always say, I like this hat. That was his thing with his purple hat.
Very nice.
So start making purple hat shirts, get you some merch sold, and start a podcast called the Purple Hat Podcast. You have a lot of wrestlers Bring them on, do interviews, talk about your time at AEW, especially if you didn't if you called Tony Khan a quote communist. I'm sure you got a whole lot of AEW stories that you could talk about. So
I mean, that's a bold accusation. If he did the podcast, I would hope and assume that the guest has to wear a purple hat the entirety.
There you go.
I like it.
I think the thing with the purple hat is like, dude, dumb things get over if you're consistent with it and you make it mean something. And you can make something as stupid as a purple hat get over. You can make something like a red Solo cup get over, as long as you're consistent with it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
a sock out of a dude's underwear into the dude's mouth. It's absurd.
Yep. And also a cobra. And he would do the gimmick. And and he would, that went over. Yeah, a very fancy looking elbow drop that barely grazed your body, which The Rock would do, and that got super over. And so, I mean, to your point, things get super over. A purple hat got over, and I'm telling you, the Purple Hat podcast, we're in this theme of what could wrestlers do outside of having to wrestle so much. And Jake Hager, or as EC3 would say, Jake Hager. Hager. I think that's what he should do, is start a podcast and get to the point where like he's just not depending so much on pro wrestling bookings. Vince, what do you think?
Yeah, you know what it is, Chris? And two, it's like, man, there are so many arms to social media. Sure. One person can make money on 10 different platforms. That's the beauty. I mean, that's what I do, man. I've got revenue streams in 10 different places. That is the beauty of it, man.
It's a nightmare to figure out, though. So it is a nightmare to figure out, but man, I wish I had the name of a Jake Hager or any wrestler. I wish I had that name. My platform would be doubled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
he's finding a nerd that knows everything.
Yeah, yes,
that's true.
Like what's great about what Vince does too is like, I've worked with him. He just, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to talk about? Boom, I'm in there. He does his business, goes off into the ether. Somebody else is doing the right things. They have it all down to a science. 10x work is what I like to call it. They put it through the deal, and then like. That's the hard part to figure out. So find a nerd. I'm still looking. If anyone wants to be a nerd for all my crazy ideas that are going to be very monetizable, please contact me at @TheRealEC3 on Instagram, or if we're going to go on a date, that too.
Very nice. I don't think that would be an issue whatsoever, East, when it comes to someone like a Jake Hager. The only thing that he needs to do is autograph a purple hat and give it to someone to do IT, and they would do it for a year plus.
You're right. You're right.
Super
right.
That's all they have to do. I mean, like I don't have to pay you a boatload of money. I'll give you an autographed purple hat. You put that joker on eBay, and you get a fortune from it, man. And so,
what do you gentlemen think though about, as an independent contractor in a televised company? I mean, a boss asking you to not say things of a political realm, or maybe it's even a spiritual or religious thing, broaching on the controversial to some. Like, would you agree with that? Or would you say the talents are left to their own devices? Or is it just a slippery slope where, what are you going to do?
Vince, you want to tackle that first?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't agree to it. I definitely wouldn't agree to it. But again, bro, it's like you've got to have the confidence in yourself that you can go do something else. Otherwise, you're a prisoner. You know what I mean? If somebody's going to tell you what to do, what to say, what you can say, what you can't say, I mean, if you want to go along with that because you're being paid well, great. But I'm kind of in the EC3 camp. My freedom of speech, man, is the most important thing to me. Do not tell me what I can and cannot say.
Autonomy is very important.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to medical things too.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think, East, to answer your question, man, if I was hiring someone as an independent contractor to paint my house, right? and I look at his socials, and he's calling Sherwin Williams a communist.
Whoa!
I'm like,
big paint.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Are you still gonna be on my house at 6:00 and get on the job? I just, whether I agree with it or not, I'm just like, what I mean? Like, but I guess it just depends on. I guess it depends on the extreme, man. Because if someone was, I really wouldn't pay the time of going on someone's socials, anyways. But if he's like Jesus Christ is a communist or something like that, you know what I mean? Like then I'd be like, like I'd be a little bit more like evaluating whether we should continue the relationship. It's nuances to it, man. Really.
I think it comes to having, if it's as an owner, if you're willing, like a conversation, can we discuss this? And getting a perspective. But I mean, if it's dangerous to your business, you have to. That comes with risks, right? So if you're going to say that and it's a danger to my business, I'm going to have to let you go. And then, do you accept that? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Or no. Okay. So discourse is important. That's what we're missing in all of this, this nonsensical world.
I personally don't think that would have stopped one person from coming to that event. I don't think that tweet would have stopped one person. And if anything, because this is all bizarro character world. If anything, if I'm seeing all that heat, I mean, when people do spot shows like this, and of course this East more than anybody. When people do spot shows like that, you can bring him in as a baby, you can bring him in as a heel. Like, it doesn't matter how you bring them in.
Every fan is still paying for that combo autograph picture,
100%.
What?
100%. And so, if there's spot shows, you can bring him as a baby or a heel. I would have brought him in as the most foreign sympathizing or anti-American or foreign anti-hero, antagonizing heel in the whole world. If I would have done absolutely, talk about We the People, I would have absolutely capitalized on the We the People gimmick with Jake Hager as an absolute heel, would have been booed out the arena, and that would have caused more people to be interested.
Yep.
I remember, when we did the CYN thing, I did a show in Orlando where I announced the rant room because, all these people were misguided by lies and screaming a bunch of, fallacies and making their opinions or their thoughts project into a reality that wasn't real. But here's the rant room. I'm like, if you have something you want to say to anybody on this roster, buy the rant room ticket. And I've offered that a couple times, and one fan bought it to yell at Austin Aries. And so I'm like, I'd like to purchase the rant room with Austin Aries. I'm like, oh, beep, this is going to happen. Okay, let's go.
They just have to sit there and take it?
Yeah, I'm like, Austin, he's like, I'd love to do this. And so we pull him into a broom closet, and I'm the mediator, and I go, well, rant. And so the fan brought up something he said about something. I don't want to get into it because it doesn't matter. And then Austin started saying his thoughts and his opinions, and then the fan was kind of like, well, then they just broke down into the most civil discourse conversation where they were both like understanding each other just because they had the conversation. And then they shook hands afterwards, and he's like, you know what, I was wrong about this and this. And he's like, you know what, I'm glad you brought this to my attention. I can understand how that could be perceived like that. Thank you.
Boom.
World peace. It's that easy.
EC3 being the arbiter of catharsis, man. Yeah. Wow. There you go, man. Very nice. Good on you. Good on you, my brother. Good on you, my man.